Billionaires in entertainment are often the same few names like Jay-Z, Rihanna, Oprah, Spielberg. But in the past few years, one name has climbed up that ladder in the most unexpected, strategic, and downright poetic way: Taylor Swift. Yes, the same Taylor who strummed country tunes in cowboy boots at 16 is now not just a global music icon, but a self-made billionaire whose empire stretches far beyond music charts. And the most fascinating part is that she didn't get there by accident, and she rode the music industry wave and quietly reshaped it. So how exactly did she build this empire? How does someone go from being a teenager in cowboy boots singing about Tim McGraw to a global icon with enough wealth to rival the top CEOs in Silicon Valley? At just 14 years old, Taylor Swift convinced her family to relocate from Wyomissing, Pennsylvania to Nashville, Tennessee, the heart of country music, so she could chase a dream most adults would have laughed off. But Taylor wasn't most teenagers. She was already showing signs of being more than just talented. She was calculated and fiercely determined. In Nashville, she started banging on doors and performing at every opportunity, ultimately catching the attention of Scott Borchetta, the man who would launch Big Machine Records. She became the label's first signed artist, and that deal would mark the beginning of her music career and a complex business relationship that would later ignite one of the most public feuds in music ownership history. In 2006, her self-titled debut album, Taylor Swift, was released, and though it didn't explode overnight, it started something. The album produced hits like Tim McGraw and Our Song, and suddenly this curly-haired teenager wasn't just playing open mics anymore, she was selling out small venues and appearing on national TV. But it was her sophomore album, Fearless, that launched her into the stratosphere. Released in 2008, it didn't just win fans, it won Grammys. Big ones. Fearless took home Album of the Year at the 2010 Grammy Awards, making her the youngest artist ever to win that category at the time. From the very beginning, Taylor Swift focused on building a deeply loyal fan base. Her lyrics weren't just catchy, they were raw, specific, emotional. She sang about high school crushes, awkward moments, painful breakups, the kind of stuff her fans were actually going through. It created an emotional bond that most pop stars can only dream of. Fans felt like she got them, and that connection was gold, more valuable than any marketing campaign, and it only grew stronger with every album she released. As Taylor Swift's discography expanded, so did her musical range. With Speak Now in 2010, she made a bold statement by writing the entire album on her own, an impressive and rare feat in the music industry. Then came Red in 2012, where she began blending her country roots with pop influences, hinting at the evolution to come. Her true pop breakthrough came with 1989 and 2014. She fully embraced the genre, not as a visitor, but as a defining voice. The album was a commercial juggernaut, selling over 1 million copies in the US within just 6 days. Nearly a decade later, 1989, Taylor's version, echoed that success, breaking records as the most streamed album in a single day on Spotify. By then, it was clear, Taylor didn't just cross over into pop, she conquered it. That transition paid off not just artistically, but financially. Every album was a hit. Every release became an event. By the time Reputation rolled around in 2017, her brand had become bulletproof. Even as she took on public feuds and disappeared from the spotlight for a bit, the anticipation only grew. When she returned, she had a new stage presence that leaned harder into spectacle, and that's where another massive part of her wealth kicks in: touring. Taylor Swift tours are immersive, cinematic, multi-million-dollar productions that fans save up for months, sometimes years, to attend. The 1989 World Tour was one of the highest-grossing tours of its time, raking in over $250 million. But that was just the beginning. The Reputation Stadium Tour in 2018 pulled in over $345 million, setting the record for the highest-grossing US tour ever at the time. Then the Eras Tour came, her biggest, and probably one of the biggest music tours of all time. With multi-hour set lists spanning every era of her career, surprise songs at every stop, and concert films that added even more revenue, the Eras Tour became a global phenomenon that contributed significantly to her leap into billionaire status. The tour grossed over $2 billion, and she chose to bypass traditional Hollywood studios to release the Eras Tour concert film directly with AMC theaters, securing a distribution deal that allowed her to keep most of the profits. Of course, no modern mogul empire is complete without merchandise, and Swift runs a tight ship. From limited edition vinyl drops to hoodies, cardigans, and accessories themed after album aesthetics, her merch lines are no joke. During the Eras Tour, merchandise sales reached levels most artists only dream of, with fans lining up for hours just to snag a sweatshirt. Taylor Swift reportedly made over $200 million from merch sales alone in her Eras Tour. But again, the genius lies in the connection. Every merch drop feels like a continuation of the storytelling. Fans aren't just buying a product, they're buying a piece of the emotional journey. And crucially, Taylor runs a direct-to-consumer model, cutting out the middlemen and keeping profits close. But Taylor wasn't just raking in cash from live shows, she was also playing the long game with how her music was distributed. At first, she was famously skeptical about streaming platforms like Spotify. She pulled her catalog from the service in 2014 over concerns about artists not being fairly compensated. That bold move made headlines, but more importantly, it started a conversation about artist rights in the digital era. When she eventually returned to streaming, she did so on her terms, and it worked. Her music broke streaming records across platforms, and her fan base, always loyal, followed her wherever she went. Taylor Swift also faced a setback when she lost the rights to her original master recordings in a highly publicized battle with her music executive Scooter Braun. Most artists might have moved on, but not Taylor. Instead, she decided to re-record her entire back catalog, from Fearless to 1989, to regain control over her music. These re-recorded versions performed incredibly well, just like the 1989 album. Fans supported them en masse, brands began licensing the new versions for ads, and Taylor essentially doubled her earnings on albums she had already released years ago. But Taylor's money didn't just come from music alone. For years, she's been carefully curating her brand with an eye for authenticity. Unlike celebrities who slap their name on every campaign, Swift has always chosen her endorsements with a discerning filter. Her collaborations with brands like Diet Coke, Keds, and Apple weren't just one-off checks, they were brand extensions. When she boycotted Apple Music for not paying artists during trial periods, it wasn't just a flex of ethics, it was actually leverage, and Apple came back to the table. She knows her power, and she uses it sparingly, which only makes it stronger. That restraint made her endorsements feel genuine, and as a result, more impactful. Slowly but steady, she began entering the billionaire status which only a few music artists have managed to reach. When the word billionaire gets thrown around in Hollywood, the images it conjures are usually men in tailored suits, tech founders, studio heads, or actors with decades-long careers and savvy investments. But Taylor Swift has shattered that mold entirely. She's not just one of the richest women in Hollywood right now, she's in a class of her own. Her net worth now comfortably sits above the $1.6 billion mark, a huge milestone that's not just built on sold-out shows and platinum records, but on business savvy, timing, and an uncanny understanding of the modern entertainment landscape. So what do you think about Taylor Swift? Leave your comments below and be sure to drop a like on this video as well. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel and check out this video here.